Hi everyone, welcome to Scrapbooking from the Heart for the month of March. Glad you could join us today. This month we're focusing on Hope Changes Everything, or Hope for the month of March. I hope that you'll enjoy watching this process video of me creating this layout, and that you'll also check the description box below for the links to the other talented ladies who are joining in the hop this month. So I decided for this particular month, I was going to focus my journaling on hope, and I journaled first for this layout, which is unusual for me, as you might have seen in my videos. But I finally got wise to writing my journaling first on flat paper, but also because the layout is based around the journaling for me this month. I decided to do that first, and I'm scrapbooking this photo of my husband and I, and the reason that I'm using this particular photo is because my husband is the one who gives me hope every single day, and the journaling that I've written down talks about how when I'm going through depression, when I'm going through anxiety or really low times, my husband will actually remind me that I don't need to get overwhelmed, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and he's always giving me hope that things are going to get better. And so I made this layout about him and how he brings me hope. And this particular kit from Coco Daisy, Daydreamer, just really spoke to me, because there's a quote in there that I'm going to use as my title. And it really said to me that this whole kit is about hope. And I've had this kit since the summer, and set it aside and didn't pull it out. And am I ever glad that I had it, though, because to me it was the perfect kit for this. So I start off with a few of the papers, and I'm trying to do a little bit of the rolling technique. I saw Samantha Googler do this for one of her layouts, and I thought it was just spectacular. But when I only did the one side, it just kind of looked off to me, and maybe that's because it didn't go down the entire length of the page. And I love this mixed media background that Coco Daisy, designed. But for me, I wanted to have some extra papers and things. A lot of people would just use the mixed media paper as it is. But for me, it was, I needed to use some of these beautiful papers and really distress them. Primarily because while I love mixed media pre-made papers like this, I find having an art journaling background that they look a little flat. So I really wanted to have some more dimension on the page. So that's why I've really gone with like heavily distressing the bottom page. And then with this yellow paper, I'm going to go a little lighter on the distress. I don't want there to be too much distress overkill, but I do want it to sort of match, and go along with the idea of distressing. And so I'm going to pull out my Prima tool and sand some of the edges, distress them that way. And you'll see me just kind of doing it randomly here and there. I don't want it everywhere, but I do want it to be distressed. And so I'm doing that. And then with the white paper, the little raindrop paper that you see there, that I'm going to distress even lighter. I'm just going to distress the edges on that one. So, why the picture of my husband and I? Well, this was a time that we were on vacation. We were coming back from Quebec City, one of our favorite places on the planet, for sure. And as I said, my husband's helped me through some really rough times. Especially in the last few months. I lost my father recently, but I lost my mom not that long ago too. And so anxiety and depression set in, and my husband has really been a help for me over the last little while, to realize that I don't need to get overwhelmed by things, and to try to stay positive. And he's constantly showing me that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And for me, that was the epitome of hope. So I really wanted to use this this particular photo of my husband and I. I do want the papers to be a little off kilter, just to kind of work along with the distress of the pages. And I didn't decide to start with a sketch for this one. I decided that I was just going to wing it, and I'll show you my tips and tricks for doing that if you're really uncomfortable with it. If you love working with sketches, that's awesome. I use them myself. I would love to hear in the comments what sketch sites or books or inspiration you get from different areas. I have used the Page Maps one in the past. I have used Creative Scrappers books in the past, and so, you know, they're very useful, especially when you're new to designing pages. But I have had some background with sketch design and page design, so I decided to wing it. But here's my title card that I'm going to use, and I love it. And this to me says hope, right? Be a rainbow in someone's cloud. And really, that was going to be my title, and I'm going to keep it. But then I made this, you know, kind of error. I wanted the journaling to be on the right, so I pasted it down with foam tape to pop it up a little bit for some dimension. But then when I got to put down the title card, it didn't really fit at the top. You see me really struggling with what I'm going to do with this. And sometimes this happens when you're going with your own design, or you're just going with the flow. So let me show you how I fixed this. So what I decided was I really kind of like the idea of it being off on the left, overlapping the photo a little bit, so that it's not, you know, the same level as the journaling card. And I think that's probably the best place for it, is right where I decided to pop it down. Now you'll see that I've got the yellow and that blue right in between, and to me it doesn't feel balanced in there. It just kind of looked awkward. And so I found this rainbow paper. It's a border that was part of one of the papers that I cut out. And I thought it would be perfect for breaking up that solid, you know, the solid yellow, then the solid blue, and also creating some horizontal line across those two heavy word pieces there, the title card and then the journaling card. And so what I did is I tore off the top and the bottom, left those rainbows. They had a nice multicolor dimensional design there. And of course, what this means is that I had to pick up my my embellishments there. I have to pick up the rainbow quote and lift that up. And then I also had to pick up the journaling card. But you know, the thing is, to remember is one of the advantages of working with foam tape is that you can pull it up without really worrying about tearing your paper underneath too much. So that's what I did. And don't be afraid of doing that. You know, the area that you're pulling up is hidden. As long as you're really gentle, you don't have to worry too much about tearing things apart. So what I did is I put this paper down. You'll see here I'm going to have to pick up my journaling card, and I've got this long piece of foam tape underneath. So I pull it up gently. I just tuck under that rainbow part where I want it. It buckled a little bit, but I got it to sit down with a little bit more foam tape underneath it, just to keep it popped up. And having that horizontal that goes out from the quote and then into the journaling, I found sort of lended more balance to the page, so that it's not, you know, there's multi-dimensions, there's multiple layers there, and I really felt that that helped balance that out. So now I'm going to go about using this kit, the Cocoa Daisy kit, the Daydreamer, and I love all the little words that it has. So I decided to use quite a few of them off the sticker sheet. I do use quite a few of the little things on the sticker sheet, some hearts, but mostly it's the words that I'm sticking to. And just these are words that just kind of tell the story. And that's really why I wanted to start this journal hop with the lovely ladies that are listed below in the description box. Having come from a background of digital design and art journaling, I really liked to push my creative boundaries and use those as a creative creative hobby. I went from digital design to art journaling, and my art journaling was about how I felt through the process and just being there with all the materials. And I did that for quite a while. And then I moved on to scrapbooking. And the thing about scrapbooking that I found, which a lot of people do, they find, is they just love all the products. They love the stash. They love the beautiful papers. They love the bling. They love all of the embellishments, how cute they are, how elegant they are, how adorable they are. And I got caught up in all of that as well. And I started using paper scrapbooking, again, to be creative. And I just scrapbooked because I loved scrapbooking. I used a lot of the time for quite a few years of paper scrapbooking. I didn't journal anything. Quite a few of my layouts don't even have a title. It was just about the process of creating and using these beautiful things, these beautiful papers, these colors, sometimes using some art journaling media, mixed media. And so I loved that. But now it was more about, I wanted to start really focusing on telling my story because I never felt like I had to. My husband and I don't have children together, and I don't think that I'll ever pass down my scrapbooks to anybody. But at the same time, so I felt like I didn't really have a story to tell. I didn't need to tell my story to anybody after I was gone, put it that way. But with the passing of both my parents, I realized, even if it's just for my husband, I have all my photos of my parents and their lives, but they never recorded their stories. And so I look at things like my mom's photos of my mom when she was younger, and I have questions. Things like, why didn't my mom ever have long hair? She had short hair from the time she was young and never grew it out. Why? It may be trivial, but I'll never know the answer to that because I never asked her. There's photos of people with my parents, and I have no idea who they are. And I don't want to leave my husband or extended family with those types of questions about me, even if they do seem trivial. So I decided it's time to start writing my story. And so in some cases, what I do is I use a word prompt like hope to get me thinking about what story can I tell. And so that's what I've done with this particular layout. You'll see that I've created a flower cluster here off on the right hand side while I was jabbering on about hope. And I've got that rainbow up at the top. Now here's where I'm talking about going with your own idea or your own design. So I didn't know where things were going to go, especially when I had that yellow portion in between those two large word clusters there, the title and the journaling. I knew I wanted to have a nice pretty cluster around the journaling to draw the eye down to it. But then from there, where was I going to go? Well, how I work things out when I'm not working with a particular sketch or I don't really have an end design in mind is that I will oftentimes look at something and just think, what would make this, where do I want to build something here? Where's an area of the page where I don't feel quite comfortable with how it looks? And up in that left-hand corner, I really didn't feel like I was comfortable with just having the paper there. So I added the rainbow. And as it turned out, it was kind of a neat idea because that does kind of look like the sky up there. So I added the rainbow and I read it and I left it there knowing that I would go back and do some other type of a cluster there. And so then I added the sun, and that wasn't enough. It didn't look quite like a cluster. It looked kind of awkward. And so I just added things that make me happy, things that looked pretty to me, and just added little things that I knew would just add a little punch, and layered a couple of little flowers and made a whole cluster out of it. And now I feel like that really balanced off that corner where it didn't feel so bare. It didn't need to be super busy. I don't need a lot there. I just needed a few little things to just bring the eye from that corner through the photo down to the journaling. And that helps kind of build the page design. Well, so now what am I going to do about this center part though? You know, the one that I said I don't like the yellow. I added the rainbow paper, but to me it still looked a little, I don't know, chunky. So for me, if I have areas where I feel like you know, it's too blocky, then what you need is you need some smaller abstracty, you know, rounder designs. Like if it's especially too many blocks or too many lines, you need something round, or you need some other kind of a shape, and usually smaller, so that it just kind of breaks that up and makes it a more interesting background, but not a design feature. And so that's what I did with these flowers. I found that little navy moth. I loved it. And so I just added that, and I just started adding just a few little flowers just around the title, just to bring some softness to those lines. That's essentially what I'm trying to tell you is you can add these delicate, you know, you can add little things, like little flowers. That I had that rainbow sticking out. It didn't look quite right. So I added little flowers just to soften the design there. Just to make it, you know, usually the eye likes things in uneven numbers. So I created, like, the rainbow almost looks like an embellishment. So I created a little cluster of 3. And right beside the title, I created that cluster of 3. Down below the title, there's a little cluster of 3 that you'll see me building. And so that's how I found that I can soften things up. I can work with design. I can keep playing with it a little bit, and make the design my own. And it's really about how I feel. If I like it there, if I find like, oh, it makes me more comfortable, it makes me enjoy this more, then I know the design's right for me. It might not be for everybody. You know, some people would find this page very cluttered. But for me, it just felt good, and it made me happy. And that's what hope does for us, right? I mean, hope is about looking to better times and good times and things. So it was really enjoyable, you know, designing this and getting all this down. So, you know, I hope you really enjoyed this. I hope you watched and got a few tips from things. I would love to hear too, if you're enjoying these journal prompts and if you're playing along with us, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your ideas for other journal prompts or techniques that you might like to see me use in terms of journaling. Several of the ladies this month are using hidden journaling. And so, you know, what's that about? So make sure you check out their videos because they've got some amazing process videos. They're so talented. And you'll really learn quite a few things from them. I'm looking at this page, and I think I've got everything where I want it. And you'll see me pick it up in a second and just kind of take another look at it, because I've worked with all these die cuts, but the die cuts really looked kind of flat to me. So one tip that I picked up from Missy Wyden is to actually curl the die cuts, you know, the flowers, so that they look like petals. Like, see, they're all pretty flat right now. But I'm going to start curling them. I'm going to go ahead and curl these embellishments, lift up the moth wings if I can, just to add some additional dimension and make them look a little bit more natural. And I really love how that turned out. So I got that tip from Missy Wyden. I hope you get a tip or two from me in terms of, you know, working with your own design. And if you did, please subscribe to my channel, and you can be notified of my future videos where I can give you additional tips. I think next month I might do something a little bit mixed media myself and give you some tips that way. So I hope you'll stay tuned for the close-ups so that you can see what a difference the curling made, and that you'll check out the other videos below. Make sure to stay tuned with us too for the month of April that's coming up, and another video from Scrapbooking from the Heart. I hope you have lots of love and joy and hope in your life, and thanks for joining us.